Alright, so for this video, we are going to discuss how are we going to solve the equations with, or maybe the inequality lah. Alright, with all the log and also with indices. Okay, using log to solve the indices equation, or either you want to solve the indices equation straight away. Okay, so I will separate this into two parts. Okay, so one video we are going to discuss every question, all the questions in example 7, and then another video we are going to discuss the question in the example 8. All right. So for example 7, mainly all our questions here they are having actually log in your equation or log in your equation. Okay. So when you want to solve the equation or inequality that contains log. Alright, so you need to express log in a single logarithmic before changing them into indices. So actually this is the hint for you to make sure that you can answer all these questions that contains the log in the questions in the equation. There are some certain patterns that you need to rephrase, okay, before you can solve the equation. So usually I will tell students you have two options. The first one is you can try to rephrase your equation, become log something equals to log something. And after that, you cancel off the log, then you solve. This is the first pattern. If let's say you cannot or you don't know how to express your equation, become log something equals to log something, then the second option is you can change become log something equals to a number. A number without x, with x also can, no problem, but generally it is a number. Okay, all right, so you can rephrase this one and then you bring the log over and you try to solve it. So when you are having or when you want to solve the equation with log function or log function, generally these are the guidelines for you. You can express it either into pattern number 1 or you can express it into pattern number 2. Okay, so for example 7, you can see that all the questions here are actually related to log, contains the log function. So I will discuss part A and part C with you, and then you try to solve the other parts yourself. Right? So of course, when you are trying to express all the questions into pattern number 1 or pattern number 2, right, you need to apply all the properties of log that you learned before. Okay, like the multiplication rules and the division rule and so on. All right, so you need to apply all the rules here. Okay, so we will start with example 7 now. I will start with 7a. Okay, so for 7a, the original question is 2 log x minus 2 equals to log 2x minus 5. So they want you to get the value of x. Right, so to get the value of x, what you need to do is like, okay, so maybe when I look at the equation here, maybe I will try to change the 2, become the power first, and I'm having log x minus 2 squared. So this is the power rule that we learned before, and equals to log 2x minus 5. So if you look at this step, you already successfully rephrase your equation into the pattern number 1, log something equals to log something. And therefore, you can straight away cancel off the log for both sides. So when you try to cancel off the log for both sides, then you're having x minus 2 squared equals to 2x minus 5. Alright, so from here you can continue to try and solve it. Right, how to solve it? Then again, you can expand it. Equals to 2x minus 5. And then you will realize that it will become negative 6x plus 9. Okay, then if you continue further, then you can see that it is x minus 3 and then x minus 3. You can factorize it, right? That equals to 0, and therefore your answer is x equals to 3. So this is how we solve the equation that contains the log or log. Okay, so and for this example, I rephrase it into pattern number 1 that I showed you just now. Right, so this is how we solve it. Okay, then how about part C? Okay, so before I start with part C again, the solution that I show you here, right, is not the only method. You can still use the, if you want, you can also change this one, become pattern number 2 and solve it. You will still get the same answer. Alright, so to me, I think pattern number 1 is easier for this example. Alright, so this is how we solve it. Okay, then now I continue to part number C. So for part number C, if I look at the equation, I'm having ln 2 plus e negative x equals to 2. So if I look at this equation itself, it is actually the pattern number 2. Ln something equals to a number or some other thing else without the ln one. Alright, so you are having ln something equals to a number. How can you solve it? So you have to remember that this one is base e. So if you want to make the ln disappear, right, actually you have to bring the base e over, become e. And then the number 2, it will become power. So it will become e power 2. And then you're having 2 plus e negative x. Alright, so this is how you change it, become pattern number 2. Then you bring the log, the base e over, become e power 2. And then from here only you start solving it. So how to solve it? So again, I will bring all the numbers to one side. So this is e power 2 minus 2. And then again, as what I said before, last time when we learned, right, if you are having the x as the power and you want to find out the value, then you have to take either ln or log both sides. Okay, so for me, because I'm having base e here, that means I can take ln for both sides. So I'm having ln e negative x equals to ln e power 2 minus 2. You take one ln one side only. Okay, so if some common mistake that student will do for this step is when they take ln, student will write something like this formula. Oh, I'm having ln e square minus ln 2. This is wrong. Okay, you are taking only one ln. So if you are taking only one ln both sides, it will become ln e square minus 2. Okay, then now again, applying the concept we learned before, the negative x is a power, you can pull it in front. So you have negative x in front. Right, so when you're having negative x, ln e is a 1. Okay, according to the rules that we learned before, ln e is a 1 because the base and also the number e is the same value. So you'll get a 1 here. Therefore, left hand side you left only ex, negative x. And then for the right hand side, you can just press calculator to get the value first. And after that, you bring the negative over. So when you bring the negative over, eventually you should get negative 1.68. Alright, so this is how we solve the equation part C. Okay, so for part A, I express it into pattern number 1 that I mentioned to you just now. Both sides also got one ln. And for question number C, I express it into pattern number 2. That means one side got ln, the other side is a number or some other thing without ln. Okay, so this is how we solve it. Okay, so to solve every equations with ln, generally you can make this as your guideline. You can either change it become pattern number 1 or pattern number 2, then only you try to solve. Right, okay, so this is what we have for example 7. So I want you to try on your own for part E, part B, and part D. Alright, I will only give you the final answer here. Please make you try it out. If you cannot get an answer, please let me know. Alright, feel free to ask me through Facebook. Alright, don't just keep it blank or do nothing. Alright, you actually learn from here. And to solve all these equations, you need to apply the properties and also the rules that we learned before. Okay, all these are the rules that we learned before. Alright, so I have to practice so that you are very familiar with all the rules. Okay, so the answer for part E. The answer for part E will be, wait, negative, 7.57. And another one is negative 0.183. Okay, so this is answer for part E. Then for part B, answer is very straightforward. It is 3 over 4 or 0.75. And then for part D, the answer is negative 0. No negative. The answer will be 0.82. Okay, so this is what we have for example 7, that you need to solve the equations contain all the ln. And I can tell you that all these 5 questions are partial questions. I just compile it in one example. Alright, so make sure that you know how to try all this and solve. Okay, so for the next video, we are going to learn how to solve all the equations with indices.